What is happening, guys? I'm in my own car finally, and it feels good. It feels different. Not really the car is any different, but after driving that little itty bitty thing and the brakes that you just barely tapped and the damn car wants to stop, they're just, the power brakes in that little itty bitty car are different than this car. Not that these brakes are bad or anything, they're just different. So stepping on the brakes like, is this thing gonna stop? I'm just not used to it. Of course it's gonna stop, but so anyway, so some good news and some bad news. The balancer has been replaced, and as soon as I get home I'll pop the hood and look at it. But they did replace the balancer, and it was a job. They had 9.5 labor hours into it. Fortunately, it's covered under warranty. They must have unplugged the battery because all my stuff is messed up. But anyway, it was a 9.5 labor hour job to do the balancer. Now, I actually had a different service rep check me out, and I asked him if they actually had to pull the motor out. He said no. He said that they ended up getting to it without that. Now, I thought that the motor had to be pulled out. Somebody can correct me on that, but maybe they are able to get to it somehow. I don't know. But the point is that the balancer is new. It's brand new. They balanced it. They reset the timing on the car, on the motor, so it's in line with the balancer. So that's done. Now, as far as the wheel bearing goes, the wheel bearing is fine. Both front wheel bearings are fine. The harness that leads to the wheel bearing on the passenger side is broke. And that is something that I am going to replace. In fact, I'm planning on doing that this weekend. I'm not actually going to replace the harness itself, the whole thing that runs from the ABS control module to the wheel bearing. I'm going to just repair it temporarily, just to get me through this winter. And then I'll drop the 40 bucks and get the complete harness and actually replace it. So he wasn't very specific as far as exactly where it is, so I got to crawl up underneath there and find out. But my guess is that because when I turned the wheel to the left, when it started to do this, it was just enough to disconnect that harness. It was just enough to split the wire. So my guess is it's in a location that's going to be easy to get to. I can't imagine that it would be up near the fender or anything else like that, because it doesn't, there's enough slack there where it's not going to yank the whole thing. I mean, they have to have slack there, otherwise every time you turn the wheel it'll pull on the entire wire, and that's just a stupid design if they did it like that. So my guess is it's easily accessible. Plus he called me within 20 minutes and said that's what the problem was. So probably they just got it up on a hoist, looked at it and said, oh, well, that wire's all screwed up, so that's the problem. So I'm going to just get a couple butt plugs, a heat shrink tube, some duct tape, or excuse me, not duct tape, some electrical tape, and I'm just going to repair it myself. My uncle has a heated barn. You know, it's been so cold lately, I haven't been able to work in my car at all, but my uncle has a heated barn. He's going to let me use it, and what I'm going to do is crawl up under there. I'm going to cut the wire off where, just past where it's broke, and then I'm going to replace it with wire of a similar gauge. And I have plenty of wire around, so I'm not worried about that. But so I'm going to replace it with wire that's of a similar gauge. Use a butt plug, splice it in, shrink it so it stays out of the elements, and then just plug it back in. So it should fix the problem. It should. So we'll see. He said the wheel bearing was fine. I mean, it is a new wheel bearing, so come on. Unless there was a manufacturer's defect. which is always possible. I'm not saying that never happens, but they said the wheel bearing's fine, so we're just going to do it that way. But it does feel good to get my car back, to get it running. And I'm really anxious to see that new balancer. I mean, the balancer was something that I definitely did not want to tackle. That is not something you just grab your toolbox and go. That's something that's a bit more involved. And I was definitely not looking forward to doing that. So I'm glad that they did it. I'm glad that it was covered under warranty, that I don't have to worry about it, that it's probably got a good, 120,000 miles before it's gonna fail again. Hopefully, maybe they fix the problem with a new manufacturer, but I'm not sure. But anyways, so we are heading home, and I'm happy that I've got my car back. Kind of looking forward to the little repair project. They did a front end alignment too, but I definitely need a new battery. The battery is on its way out. There is no doubt about that. So that is something that I'm going to be replacing here pretty soon. I just need it to warm up a little bit. This is ridiculous, this cold crap. In previous years, I really don't remember these long cold spells. I could be wrong, but I remember getting down into, the teens, and there was a couple of days where we hit negatives, but for the most part, 20s and 30s for Michigan, at least in the lower peninsula, in central Michigan, 20s and 30s, were pretty typical. But last year we had a deep freeze. This year we had a deep freeze, and the year before that we had somewhat of a deep freeze. So it's kind of annoying because I'm just tired of it being so cold and cold all the time. But anyway, so be looking forward to that video. I'm gonna get this video done and edited today. But like I said, this weekend is when I'm gonna actually be replacing or fixing that harness, and I will get good video footage. This was actually brought up on my channel before when I was talking about the problems that I was having with my wheel bearing. Someone else had mentioned that a $30 to $40 wheel bearing harness will most likely fix the issue. So that is what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to buy a new one. I'm just going to fix it myself. And if I continue to have problems, then I'll just bring it back to the dealer. So they did do a front end alignment, which is good. The steering does feel pretty tight, straight. But so anyways, good to have it back. And in the next shot here, I'll open the hood and we'll look at the balancer while it's running. Alright, you guys probably can't see. That balancer is definitely new. There's a good angle right there. That balancer is definitely new. So you can see, I'll try to cut in some footage of when it was bad. There we go. I'll try to cut in some footage of when it was bad, but look at that. No wobble, nice and straight. Man, that must have been a freaking pain in the ass. I can see they had to get the battery out. Wow, that had to have been an absolute pain. They probably came in from underneath. Oh, geez, I'm so glad I didn't have to repair that. Oh, man, am I glad. So cool. Balancer is fixed. Good to go.